evening. Good evening. Are you hearing me? Okay, it didn't ring at me. Welcome to Elgin's 5th Shinbone Valley Rampage. Let's see, is there anybody here that's not from Elgin? There's one gal back. Okay, then I'll tell you what shinbone means. In 1849, when the first settlers came to this valley, they realized that this was an Indian burial ground. So consequently, it was originally called Shinbone Valley. In fact, I think maybe the original post office was even that. I think it was 1851 when it was originally, then it was changed to Elgin. The man that did the surveying to lay out the town was from Elgin, Illinois, and he recommended they call it Elgin. So we're named after Elgin, Illinois. We've never grown quite as much as Des Moines or some other towns. We're still kind of very close to about the same. But maybe that's kind of good. Because if we were very big, we wouldn't be having good get-togethers like this and enjoying ourselves and having a good time. Last night at the Legion Steak Fry, a group of people came in. Are you guys here from Chicago or wherever you were? No, guess not. Well, anyway, they're staying at the Skipaway Campground and got to visiting with them, and they were having a great time frying their steak, and they said, boy, this was really a lot of fun. And well, we ran out of steak and we ran out of lettuce, and so he said, what are you going to do? And I said, that's no problem. In Elgin, I said, we go to call the guy that owns the grocery store. He goes down and cuts us up more steak. But when Kevin came back, he didn't have any lettuce. So then I went and raided my daughter-in-law's refrigerator, and I found some more lettuce. Well, they just thought that was a blast. They couldn't believe that this could happen. Because this sure doesn't happen in Chicago, they said. So that's kind of the way it is growing up and being in a little town like Elgin. We have a good time, and I hope that you do tonight. I'm kind of the old man on the block now. I've been in business longer than anybody else in Elgin, and so I'm going to take it upon myself to thank the people that have worked so hard to put this together here tonight. We've got, I don't even know how many you can count on your program if you have one. There's a lot of people involved and a lot of hard work that's been done. And it's really not a very good idea to single out anybody, but I'm going to attempt to do a couple of them. You know, Mason City has Meredith Wilson, and New York has Rogers and Hammerstein, but we've got Sarah Strong. And believe me, she doesn't hold it. Those guys don't hold a candle to her. She has done a most outstanding job. She put this program together, and she's had to shake her fist at us a few times, but she learned that from John Nidek. Doris Martin is our resident historian, and what a job she does. You'll find out as the evening goes on the research that she put into getting statistics and information together that will give you a little history of things in our country and in Iowa. Connie Nuss and Sarah Strong worked hard to put together the historical costume show, which you will be seeing throughout the evening. These are all great Elgin people, and you're going to see them and you're going to hear them for the next hour and a half. All except one. We imported our accompanist from way over behind Gunder. Jean Fossbinder, and believe me, you're in for a real treat at the piano tonight. She is outstanding, and we really appreciate it. Well, tonight is just the beginning of a fun-filled weekend here in Elgin, and I don't know if you have read the Echo, but I'll quickly go over some of the additional events. Tomorrow there's a fitness camp and co-ed relay, and I'm not sure what that means. Sounds like fun, but it starts at 7 o'clock up at the Methodist Church. And then the health walk, a 3-mile health walk, the Georgie May Memorial Bicycle Ride. You can either take 10, 20, or 30 feet. No, miles! So, be prepared. They start here at the park at 7:30. There'll be a farmer's market. You can get fresh produce and baked goods. the Valley drill team is having a car wash up here at the fire station. I don't know if they're going to use a fire hose or not. It might blow those cars away, but I'm sure they'll be clean when they're done. There'll be arts and crafts here in the park, and there'll be a children's parade starting at 11 in the Methodist Church and coming downtown here. The Valley Cafe catering service will be serving a noon meal again. Bev and Ken Strong are going to have their horses and buggies or wagons, so you can go for a ride down to the Gilbertson Park and back. And tomorrow night, Fayette County pork producers will have pork loin, potato salad, and baked beans. And then in the evening, and I never can say this word, Chautauqua. Is that right, John?
Close.
Close, not exact though. There will be a show here on the stage, an entirely different one.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, don't forget to go out to Elyria and enjoy a day with them. They always do a great job of having a meal and a lot of fun things for children. And John, what are you going to do there?
Eat.
Eat, says more than that on the program.
Just give some reading.
Okay. And then, of course, the Gilbertson Park is full of rendezvous people. They moved in on Wednesday night already. Those people are really loyal, and there's a bunch of them down there. They're having a great time. So don't forget that. And join the people out of Elyria for their day on Sunday. Well, I think we're about ready. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're even going to have intermission. But during this intermission, you stay in your seat. That's a little different, but the reason we're doing that, we're going to pass the hat. Well, or ice cream bucket, I guess it is. So we would appreciate if you have a nickel or a dime or so. It costs us quite a little money to get all this thing put together. And we add this extension to the stage last year. We're still trying to get that paid for. And we're hoping to buy our own sound system one of these years because this is getting to be an annual event and it really would be nice to have our own equipment. So we'd appreciate it if you will help us out a little there. Okay, will you please stand as the American Legion Color Guard and the junior color bearers advance the flag of our country and show due respect if you would please. Let the show begin. Color Guard, advance the colors.
corner store and a penny to spare. You and your girl in the park. Iowa, it's a beautiful name when you say it like we say it back home. It's a promise for tomorrow and a memory of long, long ago.
As we celebrate this sesquicentennial year, it is fitting that we honor Iowa's participation in the wars in which she has come to her country's aid. Iowans have always answered their call to arms for their country. Even before we were a state, the territorial government was asked to provide men for the Mexican War. 1,000 men went to the Mexican War. Of this number, 1,064 died. The first war in which we took part as a state was the Civil War. Even before we were a state, we had several volunteer groups: the Blues, the Grays, the Dragoons, the Guards, the Rifles, and my favorite, the Zouaves. On April 16th of 1861, a telegram came to Davenport, Iowa for our Civil War governor, Mr. Kirkwood. When they found him at his home, his farm home near Iowa City, he was doing chores in overalls and boots. He opened the telegram from the Secretary of War, and he expressed doubt that he would be able to raise a regiment. That would be 970 men plus officers. He paid for the uniforms for this first regiment. He got volunteer women to make them. Blue coats, buckskin trousers, lots of red piping. He didn't have to worry about the 1,000 men. Before he could outfit them, he had 10,000 men. Iowa would eventually field 76,000 men in the Civil War. All but 4,000 of them would be volunteers. We would raise 48 regiments of infantry, 9 regiments of cavalry, 4 artillery battalions, and 1 graybeard division, which was made up of men 45 to 80, average age 57. Iowans fought in all the battles, but the Iowa regiments fought mostly in the Mississippi River Valley. 15,000 Iowans marched with Sherman to the sea. And early in May of 1865, 15,000 Iowans marched up Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House when the war was officially over. Of the 76,000 men who went to war, 13,000 of them died. Got to get my numbers straight here. 8,500 were seriously wounded, and 515 died in the prisoner of war camps. Iowa women served as nurses and also worked in the diet kitchens, 100 of which were established by Annie Wittenmeyer of Keokuk, Iowa.
Typical of the clothing worn by matrons during the Civil War period, Alice Howard models a black satin cape, hand embroidered with jet beads and trimmed with fringe. Her black bonnet is also typical of that day.
The Elgin Legion singers take us back to the Civil War days when Iowa sent its men to battle with a medley of songs sung at that memorable time in history. Perhaps you will remember Tramp, 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 Tenting on the Old Campground, Dixie, and a song sung when North and South alike experienced the thrill of welcoming home a soldier when Johnny comes marching home.
will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home.
Each era of our past has had its particular love song. A Civil War favorite was Ora Lee, which re-emerged in the early 60s as Elvis Presley's best-selling title song of the movie Love Me Tender.
Fashionable during the Civil War era, but not practical, was the romantic hoop skirt and picture hat. Courting attire worn by a gentleman included dark trousers, a snow-white shirt, and vest. Linda Klein and Janie Ruckdash are our models.
Originally, the battle hymn of the Republic was called John Brown's Body. The melody became so popular among Northern soldiers that opposition developed to the lyrics, and in 1862, Julia Ward Howe was persuaded to write the inspirational words we know and sing now.
Notice the leg of mutton sleeves and the beading on the bodice. The wedding took place on January 1st, 1896. Jenny Strong is our model.
Iowans also served in the Spanish-American War in 1898. There were 6,000 of them in the Army and the Navy. Somewhat over 150 of them died there. World War I began for Americans when President Wilson made his plea to keep the world safe for democracy in 1917. There were already Iowans serving, however, with both the French and British armies. In November of 1917, the first American soldier was killed. He was fighting in the Lorraine district with General Pershing when the Germans overran their position. He was Merle Hay from Glidden, Iowa. That week, the Des Moines Register carried a cartoon that showed Uncle Sam wading ashore carrying a body. The caption read, "Bringing the truth home to us." A National Guard unit in southwest Iowa was mobilized as 168th Infantry, better known as the famous Rainbow Division. By February of 1918, they were in the trenches in France near a small French village, in the mud and the snow and the cold. The Germans recognized them as green troops and expected to break through easily. But the 168th, the Rainbow Division, held out for 110 days, stopped the advance, lost half their number. 600 Iowa nurses served in the Red Cross, and they served overseas, and many died there.
Sarah Shorey models a nurse's uniform from World War I. The cap with the Red Cross insignia, a white waist, and a simple skirt was the usual nurse's uniform.
A famous Iowan that served in World War I was Herbert Hoover. He was head of the Belgian Relief Fund and also was food administrator. It was very hard to be German in Iowa in the 1917-1918 period. Our governor, Governor Harding, issued an executive order that made English the only language that could be spoken in public places. 5 German housewives got in trouble for talking German on the party line. Some German towns, such as Germania, changed their name to become Lakota, and Berlin was changed to become Lincoln. 114,000 Iowans served in World War I, 3,500 died.
There's a Long, Long Trail was first published in England the year before World War I was declared and was being sung and marched to by British Tommies well before being picked up by American doughboys when they went to fight in Europe in 1917.
There's a long, long trail winding into the land of my dreams, where the nightingales are singing and the white room beams. There's a long, long night waiting until my dreams all come true, till the day when I'll be going down that long, long trail with you.
That's not true.
The question, how are you going to keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris, was asked by many a family during World War I.
How you gonna keep them down on the farm after they see Paris?
How you gonna keep them away from Broadway, jazzing around and painting the town?
How you gonna keep them away from harm?
That's a mystery. They'll never want to see a brick or a plow, and who the deuce can hardly move a cow? How you gonna keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris?
After writing the song we just sang, Walter Donaldson teamed up with Gus Kahn in writing the love song of World War I, My Buddy.
My
being a morale booster for our troops, the song Smiles was unveiled in 1917, and it became the perfect morale booster for both soldiers and civilians. Possibly all the more welcome because it avoided pointless optimism.
There are smiles that make us happy. There are smiles that make us blue. There are smiles that steal away the teardrops as the sun beats steal away the dew. There are smiles that have a tender meaning that the eyes of love alone may see. And the smiles that fill my life with sunshine are the smiles you give to me.
Fashions in the 1920s bring to mind the Charleston, long beads, headbands, and high heels as modeled by Joni Gisselson. Connie Nuss shows us a 1920s ensemble of a black touring coat worn over a front-pleated chemise dress. This belonged to Rosella Mork's mother, Ida Larson. Going out for an evening stroll with their children was a popular activity for a couple in the 1920s. Here, mother, Sarah Shorey, wears a coffee-colored satin dress with an overdress of lace. In the 1926 baby buggy, the baby wears a christening dress with a crocheted bonnet of that era. Young daughter, Christy Klein, wears a white batiste dress with front tucks and trimmed in lace. Dad, Jamie Rockdashel, wears a University of Iowa leather sweater of 1919, which belonged to Doc Meter. For formal occasions in 1935, a young lady could be seen wearing this peach organdy dress, accented with an aqua sash of taffeta, as worn by Jenny Strong.
During World War II, it was not so easy to track Iowans. They fought with all groups. There were no distinct Iowa regiments. Both men and women were in the service, and they fought to stop the spread of dictatorships. The women were in the WACs and the WAGs. And the civilians at home bought war bonds, served in the Red Cross, took first aid courses, worked in defense plants, and raised meat and grain to feed the American servicemen. Iowa State University developed a method of manufacturing uranium so that they could manufacture atomic bombs. For this, they were given the Army-Navy E-flag. Over 287,000 Iowans fought in World War II. 8,400 of them died. One especially sad event of World War II was the loss of the 5 Sullivan brothers. In 1942, their light cruiser, the Juno, was sunk off Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. All 5 Sullivan boys went to the bottom with them.
Irving Berlin originally wrote the words and music to God Bless America for an all-soldiers show in 1918. He changed his mind, and when performance time came, he packed the song away. When Kate Smith asked Berlin for a special number for her to perform on her Armistice Day radio show in 1938, Irving Berlin knew this song would express his own pride in and love of this country. Kate Smith introduced the number on her radio program on November 10, 1938, the last peacetime Armistice Day celebrated in the United States before entering World War II.
War II and is wearing his uniform for us tonight. Wearing the Naval Summer White uniform is Dirk Torkelson. Dirk's sons, Jared and Brandon, are wearing matching 1940s vintage shirts. Cody is wearing a 1944 outfit that his grandfather, Richard, wore in Eva Mae Frieden's wedding. Steve Gisleson is wearing Bob Wilson's Army uniform.
In the dark days of 1941, the high white cliffs of Dover on the English Channel coast were guideposts for the German planes that flew in a seemingly endless stream to bomb London and other inland targets. Two American songwriters, Nat Burton and Walter Kent, looked ahead to better days when the bombers would be replaced by bluebirds, and created one of the most touching songs to come out of World War II.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow. Just you wait and see. There'll be love and laughter and peace ever after tomorrow when the world is free. The shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow. Just you wait and see. The shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow. Just you wait and see.
Sonny Bragg was an Air Force pilot and former football star. He told Jimmy McHugh of a close call he had as an Air Force pilot when he was on a mission to North Africa, and we came in on one engine and a prayer. In 1943, McHugh composed the music, Harold Adamson the words, and the song, Comin' In on a Wing and a Prayer, was introduced by Eddie Cantor at an Air Force base. It became popular during World War II with a sheet music sale in excess of 1 million copies.
One of our planes was missing, 2 hours overdue. One of our planes was missing, with all its gallant crew. The radio sets were humming,
designer dress of puckered crepe of the 1940s is worn by Kate Klein. A dimity dress was every little girl's wish in the 1940s. Kayla Gribenow is wearing a vintage dimity dress with front stocking. Hollywood's influence on fashion in the 40s comes through loud and clear in this black crepe dress accented with black velvet caplets worn by Sarah Shorey. Look at those Joan Crawford shoulders.
The servicemen and women returned home triumphantly to parades and salutes and went on to their homes greeted by their loved ones where life again seemed like old times.
Seems like old times, having you to walk with. Seems like old times, having you to talk with. And it's still a thrill just to have my arms around you. Still a thrill, and it was the day I found you. Seems like old times, dinner dates and flowers, just like old times. Staying up for hours, making dreams come true. Doing things we used to do. Seems like old times, being here with you. Seems like old times, having you to walk with. Seems like old times, having you to talk with. And it's still a thrill just to have my arms around you. Still a thrill, and it was the day I found you. Seems like old times, dinner dates and flowers, just like old times. Staying up for hours, making dreams come true. Doing things we used to do. Seems like old times, being here with you.
We got a picture. We got a picture.
In June of 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea. The United Nations were sent to stop the spread of communism. President Truman authorized the use of the Navy and the Air Force to protect South Korea. General MacArthur led an amphibious attack near Incheon and took our forces north to the 38th parallel. By September, they had reached the parallel. In December, Dwight Eisenhower was made the Supreme Commander. By the spring of 1951, President Truman removed MacArthur from his command, which angered many Americans, and replaced him with General Ridgway. In December of 1952, the new president, Dwight Eisenhower, visited Korea and started peace negotiations. These were concluded in July of 1953 with the 38th parallel still as the boundary between the two Koreas. 85,000 Iowans fought in Korea, 532 died there.
Many GIs in Korea sent home silk embroidered kimono sets to their loved ones, such as this one modeled by Jenny Strong.
America's beloved ballad writer Stephen Foster died alone and in poverty. In the jacket pocket of his shabby suit was found a scrap of paper with the phrase, "Dear hearts and gentle people," perhaps the beginning of another imperishable Foster song. The words appealed to songwriter Bob Hilliard when he heard them in 1949, just before the beginning of the Korean War. He continued the lyrics begun by Stephen Foster, and the song, "Dear Hearts and Gentle People," became a successful recording, bringing top honors to Dinah Shore and Bing Crosby.
I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live in my hometown, because those dear hearts and gentle people will never ever let you down. They read the good book from Friday till Monday. That's how the weekend goes. I've got a dream house I'll build there one day, with picket fence and rambling roads. I feel so welcome each time that I return, that my happy heart keeps laughing like a clown. I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live and love in my hometown.
High school attire in 1952 was a typical circle skirt, white shirt, silk neck square, and an Elgin High School purple and white warm-up jacket as worn by Beth Hunsberger. Teenage boys were wearing Levi's, t-shirts, and leather bomber jackets, as shown us by Luke Klein.
Chicory Chick Chilla Chilla, I'm my own grandpa, Marzy Dotes, and I'm a lonely little petunia in an onion patch were songs written to lighten our hearts during the 40s. The 50s claimed their own group of corny songs beginning in 1951 with the waltz rhythm and surprising lyrics of Sweet Violets.
There once was a farmer who took a young miss in back of the barn, where he gave her a lecture on horses and chickens and eggs, and told her that she had such beautiful manners that suited a girl of her charms, a girl that he wanted to take in his washing and ironing, and then if she did, they could get married and raise lots of sweet violets, sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violets. The girl told the farmer that he'd better stop, and she called her father, and he called a taxi, and got there before very long, 'cause someone was doing his little girl right for a change, and so that's why he said, if you marry her, son, you're better off singing, 'cause it's always been my belief, marriage will bring a man nothing but sweet violets, sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violets. The farmer decided he'd wed anyway, and started in planning for his wedding suit, which he purchased for only $1. But then he found out he was just out of money, and so he got left in the lurch, standing and waiting in front of the end of this story, which just goes to show all a girl wants from a man is his sweet violets, sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violets.
popular in the 50s, as well as dance dates at the Coliseum in Owine and Heidelberg Gardens in Luena. Jenny Strong is wearing a dress that was worn to these places in the 50s. In 1957, a young woman not only needed a wedding dress, but also needed the second most important dress on her wedding day, which was called a going-away dress, since most newlyweds went on a honeymoon following their marriage. Connie Nuss models a princess-style going-away dress with a nylon eyelet duster worn in 1957.
During World War II, when so many women went to work out of their homes for the war effort, the early 50s saw women gratefully appreciative to be home again with their family and singing, "It's so nice to have a man around the house."
Also in the 1950s, the United States began to back the French both financially and with advisors in Vietnam. The first American soldiers were killed there in 1959. By 1961, President Kennedy had committed 3,200 military personnel to Vietnam, and the police action accelerated from there. In 1968, there was an effort to start peace negotiations, but our servicemen would continue to pursue Charlie through the rice paddies and the tropical growth for many years. In 1973, most of the ground forces had left Vietnam. By 1975, the last Americans would be evacuated from Saigon. 115,000 Iowans served in Vietnam. 853 died there, many whose bodies have never been recovered, and 16 MIAs from Iowa are still reported there.
Momentary blank there. Among modern balladeers, none has made a stronger impact than Bob Dylan, who in 1962 composed a song that particularly became the anthem of the civil rights movement. The sensitive words are equally applicable to any situation involving man's indifference to the basic rights of others. Blowin' in the Wind received 2 Grammy Awards in 1964 and was a popular song heard by our troops in Vietnam.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and
and they were wearing mini dresses and platform shoes like these shown us by Jenny Strong. This dress and shoes were purchased in England during that time period. Men's fashions were changed forever in the 1960s with the advent of the polyester leisure suit. Bert Torkelson wears a white leisure suit with navy blue trim. This was real investment dressing for the lifetime. The polyester leisure suit never wore out. While teens were rocking and rolling in miniskirts, preteens were seen wearing maxi dresses such as Amanda Frederick wears. Little girls in the 60s were wearing dresses such as this to church. Brooke Dummermuth wears a blocked cotton flowered dress with an attached red vest. No first lady influenced the fashion industry more than Jackie Kennedy. Connie Nuss models the 60s Jackie Kennedy trapeze dress of lace and satin. On her head is the Jackie trademark, a pillbox hat.
The great white lights of Broadway shone brightly in 1963 when Dolly Leving took to the stage and was welcomed home by her admiring throng in the show Hello, Dolly. The title song was an instant success here and in Vietnam, where soldiers' spirits were lifted by its lilting melody. Soldiers dreamed of the day they could come home while fighting in the jungles and swamps of Vietnam. In 1973, their dreams became reality as most of the ground forces returned to the green grass of America and Iowa.
The old hometown looks the same as I step down from the train, and there to meet me is my mama and papa. Down the road I look, and there runs Mary
With the ever-changing society, many households require dual incomes with both parents going off to work every day. Our 1990s family, Mike, Sarah, and Tyler Shorey, show us the typical wardrobe worn in the 90s.
What do you do next? Get over this way. We have to have one of those. In early August of 1990, President Bush sent some of our young men and women to the Gulf War, to the Persian Gulf, to liberate Kuwait. Reserve units were called up: Army National Guard and Air Force National Guard, the Army, Navy, Marine, and Air Force Reserves. 38 Iowa units in all, 1,900 reservists. There were another 1,300 in the active forces. By September, Desert Shield phase was in force. In January of 1991, Congress adopted a resolution that allowed President Bush to declare war, and we went into the Desert Storm phase, which most of us watched on TV. This was mostly an air war, and it could be likened to Hitler's Blitzkrieg, the lightning war of World War II. In March of 1991, the ceasefire was negotiated. There was no loss of life to the reserve components. 6 Iowans died in the active service.
Words from a song associated with the Gulf War say, "We all have enough, no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. We are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, love, and peace. Everyone is your friend even though we are at war. We cannot comprehend what all this fighting is for. There should be harmony echoing through the land because it is the hope, the love, and the heart of every man." Written by Julie Gold and recorded by Bette Midler from a distance, reflected the thoughts of Americans during the Gulf War.
Iowa's sons and daughters have always followed their flag to foreign battlefields, to foreign seas, and in 2 wars to local battlegrounds in their own land. In 1846, they were at Buena Vista, Cerro Gordo, Palo Alto. In the 1860s, they were at Lookout Mountain, Vicksburg, Mobile Bay. In 1898, they were at Havana and Manila and San Juan Hill. In 1917 and 1918, they were at the Marne and the Argonne. In the 1940s, they were at Omaha Beach, Anzio Beach Head, Iwo Jima. In the 1950s, they were at Bloody Ridge, Heartbreak Ridge, and the Punch Bowl. In the 1960s, they were at Da Nang, can't read these, Da Nang, Tay Ninh, Ton Sun Ute. In 91, they were in Desert Storm and Desert Shield. One general has said, never forget, never forgive, and never again. 687,000 Iowans have gone to war. 26,500 of them have died. Let our hope in this sesquicentennial year be never again.